Hi guys, my name is Dede. Welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, it's lovely to have you. But if you're old, hey boo, it's nice to have you back. Today's recipe, I'm going to teach you guys how to make this easy batter cake. It has so much butter and it's so nice yet not greasy or oily at all. It just comes up beautiful and you can add it to your Christmas setup on your table and serve it to your guests like how we do in Ghana with some cook and all that, and you will enjoy it. So hang out with me and let's get into this recipe. Here are the ingredients I'll be needing. I have some cake flour, I have some sugar, some milk. I'm using evaporated milk. You can use any type of milk. I have some salt, baking powder, nutmeg powder. I have some eggs over here, and then I have some vanilla extract, unsalted butter, and finally some cherries. First off, I'm going to mix up my dry ingredients. So into the cake flour, I have added salt and baking powder, my nutmeg as well, and I'm going to give this a good mix. In the course of this recipe, I'm going to teach you guys how to make cake flour if you do not have cake flour at home. It's really easy and you can easily do it. Next up, I'm going to start creaming my butter and sugar. Okay, so first I'm going to beat this butter until it's a little pale, and then I'm going to be adding the sugar and I'm going to beat it all up until it is very light and fluffy. So here's how to make cake flour. If you have 1 cup of all-purpose flour, you take 1 tablespoon out of it, and then you replace that 1 tablespoon with 1 tablespoon of corn flour and mix it all up together and whisk it, and you have your cake flour. It's so easy. It's just as easy as that. So if the recipe requires 2 cups of cake flour, you just take 2 cups of all-purpose flour, take 2 tablespoons out, and then replace that with 2 tablespoons of corn flour or corn starch. It's so easy. Okay, so we're gonna go on and then whisk this up until it is beautiful as so. As you whisk, you need to be scraping the sides of the bowl so that you can have everything incorporated the same. I'm using 5 eggs for this recipe and I'm adding them one after the other. You want to add one, whisk it really well, and make sure that you don't see any traces of it before you go on to add the next one. It is really, really important. And before we add the final one, we need to scrape the sides of the bowl and then add the final one and then beat it up really nicely. So before I added the eggs, I whisked the sugar and the butter for about 6 minutes. Yes, you need to whisk it for long, like about 6 to 8 minutes, to make sure that it is really light and fluffy before you go on to add your eggs. So I've added all my eggs and it's looking good now. Next, I have added my vanilla extract and I'm going to whisk this up until it is nicely incorporated. Once that is done, I'm going to start adding my flour, a tablespoon at a time. Now this is supposed to incorporate more air into the cake. Okay, so I'm not going to just pour everything in there. No, I'm going to be adding it one after the other. That way, beautiful air, it becomes really light. The cake becomes really light, fluffy, and nice. At this point, I'm also preheating my oven at 180 degrees. Okay, guys, if this is your first time here, please click on the subscribe button. Kindly subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so you get notified anytime I upload a new content. I also have so many other recipes you can check out, so please do not forget to check them out. I'll be leaving all the ingredients and their quantities in the description box below, so do check them out as well. Now that all the flour is done incorporating, I'll be adding my milk finally, and then I'm going to mix it up together. Now in this recipe I used some cherries, but the cherries unfortunately were glazed cherries. That means that it had too much weight, so by the time I was done baking, the cherries all sank to the bottom. Okay, what I could have done was to coat them with some flour before adding it to my mixture, but I didn't. So if you want to add some cherries to your cake, make sure they are fresh cherries. Okay, that way is really easy, and then it comes out really beautiful in your cake. So this one, I could have just avoided it totally, but I was hoping it would work, but it did not work. So like I said, if you want to add cherries, make sure they are fresh cherries. Okay, now that we are done, I'm using my 6x6 square pan and I'm going to spray it really, really well because I won't be spreading any flour in there. So I'm spraying it with this non-stick cake spray, and then I'm going to lay my parchment paper at the bottom before I go ahead to pour my butter in there. Now this butter smells so divine. My house is already smelling so good, and I'll be baking this at 180 for between 50 to 60 minutes. So after the 50-minute mark, you want to start checking it, and then when it gets to your brownness level, you know that you have to take it out. Okay, also you need to keep an eye on it. Do not open your oven before 50 minutes. Just allow it to cook and rise beautifully. So we're going to bake this for 50-60 minutes like I said, and now it is done and it is smelling amazing. The aroma all over my house, it just smells like Christmas around here. Okay, so finally I'm inserting the skewer in there, and I want to check if it's fully done. When it comes out clean or clear, you know that your cake is ready. Transfer it onto a cooling rack, and then you can go ahead and slice it up. Now take a look at how fluffy and bouncy this cake is. It is just so amazing, and it's not overwhelmingly sweet at all. You can add this definitely to your Christmas setup, to some chips, to some coated peanuts like we do in Ghana, and serve it to your guests, and everybody will love it. You can also pack some and then send it as presents to all your people. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll be sharing a new recipe with you tomorrow. So stay tuned to my channel. Do not forget to subscribe, and Merry Christmas! Bye!